Hi, hi, kitchen kings and queens. Today we're going to make a very special dish, and we're going to use the um, Revereware electric skillet that I featured in the last collection video on Revereware. This dish is something I had when I was in Germany. It's called Josefai Schnitzel, and I thought it was great because it was same name as me, Joseph, and it has a really cool coating. It's a mixture of pretzels and this cheese that's traditional to Germany called Bergkäse. That may be hard to find, and I'm going to give you some alternatives for that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to make the schnitzel patties or meat, and we're going to marinate it, and we're going to marinate it in a marinade of beer, because I've tried that before and it really makes the meat taste delicious. And this meat is a pork tenderloin that I got at grocery outlet for a little markdown. So I'm going to cut the patties or the slices, and then we're going to pound them out, and then we're going to tenderize them, and then we're going to put them in this really great Tupperware marinator. If you like to grill or marinate things, this thing is worth trying to find. I really love it and I use it all the time. So let's get started. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be using a pork tenderloin, and it's a whole tenderloin. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use this whole thing or if I'm going to just kind of cut it up into bits and then use it, use like a part of the roast for something else. But this is from Hatfield, and it's a boneless half pork loin. I really like Hatfield pork because they treat their pigs well. I mean, as well as they can be to be used for food. But they just seem to have a commitment to uh, um, animal safety and animal well-being, as much as you can, given that you're going to be eating them. Okay, so I have the pork tenderloin, and I think I'm going to cut to about here. Okay. We'll see. We'll see how many we get. Okay, so I'm going to cut like little, I don't know, about like 2-inch pieces. And then I'm going to, actually, I guess these are about 1-inch pieces. And then I'm going to pound them out, and then I'm going to tenderize them. So I'll show you that whole process. Now, if you do not eat pork, that's fine. I really enjoy pork, but I know a lot of people don't eat it for a host of reasons. If you don't like pork or don't want to eat pork, you can make it with chicken. I think it would be equally good with chicken. I would definitely say, though, make sure that you do the marinade step with the beer marinade. Because the chicken, now if you use chicken thighs, that would probably be a good substitute for the pork, because it'll have that, a little bit more meaty flavor. Okay, so I've cut my 1-inch pieces roughly. Some of them are a little smaller. And I did use the whole This is a half loin. So I did use the whole thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to butterfly those, okay? And butterflying is just when you cut it in half and open it kind of like a book or a butterfly, which is where we get that, okay? But you want to make sure that you are kind of getting it a little bit bigger. Okay, so this will help us when we pound these out into the cutlets. Okay, so this dish that I had, it was in Munich, and it was at a not a brewery, but like a kind of like a brewing beer garden tasting room, and it was really, really good. So I met this friend there, and he took me there, and it was just a really nice time. Got to talk to some native Munich people. If you like food and you travel to Germany, let me tell you, Munich is a food city. They have a great big outdoor market there. They have a really great food hall, like an indoor food hall called Dahlmeier. They're really famous for coffee, and you can get their coffee if you have a actually Home Goods often has their coffee, and if you don't see it at Home Goods, somewhere that always carries it is Costco World Market. So if you have one of them around, which I hope you do because they are a really cool store, then you can get it there. Because they always have Dahlmeier. And so Dahlmeier is really, it was like a royal purveyor for when there was a aristocracy in Munich. So they were kind of like a royal supplier in Munich. So they have really delicious food. If you want to go, there's a park, like a big, it was like the royal grounds. If you want to like make a picnic lunch, that would be like a great place to go because they have breads and meats and all this great stuff there. And then upstairs, they also have chocolates, of course. They have really great truffles. And they have the cutest, I'll have to show it on another video when I frame it. They had this cute little dachshunds that they had as their mascot. And they had this, on the box of chocolates, the truffles that I brought back for my parents. They just had this really cute little like couple, kind of like a Lady and the Tramp type thing, but it was the dachshunds and they were sharing the chocolate. And then upstairs there is a little cafe where you can get Kaffee und Kuchen. I apologize if my German is a little off. It's not my first language of speaking or learning. But it's a very famous tradition in Germany for them to have cake and coffee. And it was really, it's a beautiful place upstairs. And I'm going to turn this so you can see what I'm going to be doing. And that dining room was really gorgeous. It has just beautiful cake, and you can get coffee anyway. And it's just, if you're ever there, it's a place to go. All right, so back to our food. So I've cut all my my pieces. I butterflied them, and now I'm going to pound them out. And I'm going to use the same strategy that I used when we did the chicken cutlets. So you're going to take your wax paper, put them between the wax paper, and when you hit it, you're just gonna, you're not trying to destroy the meat, you're just trying to spread it out. So the movement is, you're taking the meat pounder and you're hitting it and pushing it, okay? And it may mess up the wax paper, which it did, but then you'll have a more flattened piece of meat. And I want to go, I think, a little bit thinner than that. Okay, so you can just kind of turn it over and give it a little bit more of a pound. Now, usually when you're making schnitzel, you would use like a chop. But I think this will be really good. It's a little bit leaner, so if that's something that you're concerned with, it would be good for that. I'm going to switch my wax paper here. Now, normally, I have a great German market near me called Rieker's. And normally I would just go there, and they have already made cutlets, which are great. And then they have, I'm actually going to use both of these. Then they also, it's a butcher shop, so you can get fresh meat too. You can get uncooked cutlets or schnitzel, and you could get cooked cutlets that they have there. So I would probably just get them there, just because they have the cuber there, so they can have the meat already tenderized, and that's just a little bit easier of a step, okay? But since I got this good deal on this pork, I'm just gonna make them myself. And if you find that like the meat is a little bit thicker in places, just give it a little pound here or there. Okay. So that one's a little bit bigger. And then we're going to season them, and then we're going to put them in the marinator with the beer. And I think a good technique, with chicken it's not so bad because the pieces are a little bit more uniform, but with this pork, like, you may have noticed I've kind of started by just kind of smashing it down, but then once I have it smashed down, then you can kind of thin it out, okay? Of course, be very careful with your fingers, okay? This is solid stainless steel. And again, I'm using the wax paper just because it seems to be a little bit easier to manage and not stick as much. This is really not that great of wax paper, so if you had like a better quality wax paper, you wouldn't have this problem. But this is what I had, so I'm going to just use what I got, okay? And then you want to try and make sure that you don't tear the meat. You want like a nice big piece. This one is a little torn, but we're gonna kind of fold it over, and then we're gonna just shape it. Okay. All right. So I have more, and I'm gonna do them, but I will move on to the next step for the sake of time and your attention. Okay, so we have this marinator that I was talking about. So the marinator has, on both the top and the bottom, it has these little divots, okay? And I'm going to switch now to my fork, and I'm going to use the top to season and marinate, okay? So, what we're gonna do is, first, we're gonna take the cutlet, and we're gonna do another process to tenderize it. So, of course, all that pounding has definitely tenderized the meat. But I have this, which is, the brand is Jacquard, and it's just you could get the Denny is a brand that has it. It's just a tenderizer. So what it does is it has a bunch of knives that go into the meat and create these little channels, okay? And that both tenderizes, but it also is really good if you're doing what we're going to be doing, which is marinating. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over. This wax paper is not helping me, but that's fine. The reason why I didn't do it on the plastic is because I don't want to incorporate some microplastics into my pork. So as you can see, the tenderizer even really didn't go through the meat all the way, because that's why I flipped it. So now we're going to put it into the plastic here. Okay, and we're going to season it. And we're just going to season it with some salt and some pepper. Now, I was going to put garlic because I put garlic on everything. But that really isn't super prevalent in German cooking. So I'm just going to use the old basics, okay? salt and pepper. Okay? And then we're going to put that into the bottom here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the beer as I get a layer. Okay? It's not going to really matter because we're going to, the way this thing works is you just kind of flip it up and down. You can rotate it up and down and it gives you some like mixing capabilities, and then that gives you more connection between the marinade and the meat. You don't have to do that, but it really does give you some more access to, or exposure, I should say, of meat and marinade. And since we're going to all this trouble of making all these little channels in here, why would we not want to do that? Now, you may have seen that I left, there was like a thin layer of fat on top of the pork tenderloin. I left that on there because this is pork tenderloin. And if you know anything about tenderloin of meat, like filet or things like that, it's a very healthy, lean meat. And that's great, but it also can use a little bit of flavor. So that small amount of fat I'm not going to remove. If you want to, if you're very concerned with fat and you want to ensure that it's, I mean, this is probably not the dish for you if you're worried about that, because we are going to pan fry this, so it's not a light dish, but it is, the meat is lean, so you know, it's a trade-off. This is not an everyday meal, okay? So it's not, you're not going to be eating this all the time. It's a very, very, very special meal, and it's something that you would want to serve. I don't know why I'm making this in the middle of the summer. It did go from like almost 100 degrees or 100 degrees to like 60, so maybe I'm feeling a little fall here. But it's definitely not a summer dish. This is a hearty winter, sit by the fire, have a nice glass of wine and enjoy, or a nice hearty beer. Oh, wait, sorry. Not seasoned, so we're gonna season and then go in there. Okay. And don't worry, I will be rinsing off all my shakers and whatnot, because I do not want to get myself or anyone sick, so we will sanitize those when we're done. Okay, so we got one layer here. So now's the time for the beer. Now, again, I am using the beer that I have. Would I have chosen this particular beer if I was not? This is a light domestic beer. No, I would probably use a German beer like Hofbrau or Warsteiner or something like that. Okay, so I just covered it, and then I can do the next layer. Okay, so when we return, we will do the breading and the frying, and then you will see what this dish ends. All right, so we will be back. Okay, so let's let the pork marinate, and we're going to prepare the breading, and we're going to do the frying. So I'm actually going to start down here. You may not be able to see this. I'll clear things out as we go along. But this is the electric skillet that we showcased, and I'm going to crank that up to 350. And this has like an encapsulated bottom. I have a feeling that there is probably oil in here, which makes it a lot more even coating, or even heating, I should say. So I'm going to put some oil in here. I think I'm going to use corn oil here. I'm not going to use olive oil. And then I'm also going to put some butter in there. Okay, so about half a stick of butter to go in with the oil. Okay, so that'll kind of give it a little bit more flavor than what would just be with the oil, because you know, these kind of neutral oils, even olive oil, especially if you use the frying oil or the light olive oil, they don't have a whole lot of flavor. So the butter will add a nice flavor. So I'm going to add that in there. And then we're going to prepare the bread. Okay, so this cheese, okay, is probably very hard for you to find. It's called Bergkäse, and it's like a German cheese, very specifically from the southern regions of Germany. It's a really good cheese, but if you can find it, that would be awesome. But if not, when I made this before, I used a combination of Gruyere and Emmentaler, and it worked really well. Those are two really good cheeses, and it kind of has the flavor profile of this, with kind of like the nuttiness of the Emmentaler, and then the more funky savory of the Gruyere. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in the food processor, and I'm going to do the whole thing. And that's the cheese part. Okay, now the other part of this breading, and I'm going to try and reserve some of this. I'm going to put it on a little sheet pan here, because I want to make a cheese pretzel later. Okay, so that's the cheese component. The other component is the pretzel. Okay, so again, if you can find good German pretzels, if you have like a Lidl or a Aldi near you, that would be awesome. Okay, and again, I'm gonna put one of these pretzels on the sheet pan over here, because I'm gonna make a cheese pretzel from it, and then the other ones I'm gonna break up, and I'm gonna put in the food processor. Okay. Now, if they are a little, like these are a couple days old, that's fine. In fact, that probably will work better, because you want them a little bit more broken down. Broken down. I'm sorry. I mean hearty. Okay, so I'm gonna actually turn this down a little bit because we are not quite ready for it. Okay, so we have our pretzels broken down. Okay, now we're gonna add that to our mixture. And this mixture is a lot more hearty than your typical breading. Okay, so now that I'm done with this, I can move this out of the way so you can hopefully see a little bit better. Okay. So now we have our breading mixture, and I'm gonna season that with a little bit of salt, a very little bit of salt, because the pretzels have salt. And then a little bit more pepper. And then we're gonna prepare the eggs, and then we could start getting this pork going. Okay, and I'm gonna crank it up again because we are just about ready. Okay, I'm actually gonna bring over my cutting board here. So now, once these things seal, they seal really good, which is a good thing, but it's also a little bit of a pain to get ready. So it might be a little difficult to open the lid, but that's good. That's what you want, because that way it will stay sealed, so when you marinate it, it's not gonna bounce around. Okay, so I got 3 eggs here. I'm gonna break up the yolks, and this is your binder. Okay, this is what's gonna make all this. I'm just gonna mix up this mixture as well. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty evenly mixed. And I'm gonna put that there. Okay, got our breading. I'm gonna grab a paper towel just because I want to take off some of the marinade of the pork before I bread it. Okay, so you don't have to really super dry it, just, take off some of the moisture. Okay, so we're gonna pop it in the egg, then we're gonna cover it in the cheese mixture, and I'm gonna kind of press it down because this is a pretty firm mixture. Okay, and then we're gonna pop it into the pan, and I'm gonna kind of have some on deck here. Okay, so the pork is marinated. You can really smell that beer. It smells delicious. So I'm putting this on the cutting board, drying it off. And then I can move it through the breading process. Okay, so there's our egg wash. And notice, unlike the cutlets that I did before, I'm not doing the breading here because, the flouring, because I really don't have to. So just gonna pop that in there. Oh man, if you could smell this, it smells so good. The cheese is caramelizing on the breading, and it's just a really neat flavor. Okay. All right, so pat that in, and that one's ready. Okay, so I had, I think, 8 pieces, so this is about halfway done. I saw a recipe for pork tenderloin, the French recipe, braised in milk. I'm thinking I may save some of these for that. Although I don't know how the beer marinade will go with that. Well, we'll see. Let's see how much we have. Okay. All right. And the great thing about any sort of cutlet is it doesn't take a whole lot of time. Okay. The pan is hot. The meat is very thin, so it really doesn't require a whole lot of time to cook. So these are probably ready to flip. So I'm going to grab a fork. And actually, oh, here we go. So I'm going to grab this meat fork here, and I'm gonna actually, because of the cheese in it, I'm gonna kind of loosen it first. And then we're gonna flip. Okay. You know what? I'm actually gonna take my actually, because the breading is so cheesy and a little bit coarser, it actually is going to work a little bit better if when you're making this you use a spatula. Okay, but we'll use the fork to take it out. So I don't know how well you can see here, but they are coming out beautifully. The first one's a little janky, but that's okay. It happens. The second one, though, is looking really good. Alright, so while that is cooking away, I'm going to get out a wire rim, or like a drying rack. And instead of getting a pan and making another pan mess, I'm just going to use this Silpat, which is just like a silicone pad that you put on baking pans so that they don't burn, or so that you don't have to kind of wax, or it just kind of cooks on top of the pan. So we're just going to put them on there, and then they will be done. Okay. So this first one is done. We're pop that in there. And the second one is done too. And just so that I don't burn, I'm going to take out these top pieces, or these remaining pieces from the janky one. And I'm going to put them, just kind of press them down. They'll adhere a little bit to it. We're good. Okay. And I'm gonna just kind of fish out the other ones. We still do have some pieces from that other one. I am gonna add some more oil in there, just so that we have a little bit more oil in the pan. Okay, I'm gonna drop in the next batch. And this is kind of a good insurance policy. When you drop them in, if you just kind of scoot them around a little bit, that'll kind of free them up. And you'll also kind of see where sticking is. So you can kind of give it a little support. Okay. All right. So there's that one. Gonna have the next batch up. Okay. Again, just drying it off. Pop it in there. Pop it in. Bread in. Put it on back. All right. Now, these really don't look like your typical schnitzel, because your typical schnitzel actually has like a very fine breadcrumb, almost like a batter on it. So these are a little bit more hearty and rustic, but that's just, I think, what makes them really, really unique, is that they're just a very different type of schnitzel, and that, I think, is pretty cool. Okay, now you want to really get the batter on it, but you don't want it to be falling off, because that's what gets the burning. Okay, and we don't want that. We want nice nice schnitzel. Okay, so I think I'm going to reserve the rest of that pork to do that that French dish with the milk pork. This, I probably could get, I could blend up my other cheese and pretzel, but I really want to make a case pretzel, so I'm just gonna finish off there. All right, these are almost ready to turn, and I'm going to show you, since my hands are clean, I'm going to show you how to make the case pretzel. Okay, so I'm going to start with some parchment paper, only because that will make it a lot easier for me to not have to clean. So I'm going to take the same little sheet pan that I have. I'm going to put the pretzel in the middle, and then I'm going to take the cheese, and you're basically just going to fill in the cracks and then cover it, okay? And that's going to be our cheese pretzel, okay? And it's okay if it goes over the edge, because that will just be more goodies, okay? So I'm going to pop that in the oven. I'm going to preheat it and then pop that in. Okay. So our pork is ready to flip. Again, I'm going to use a spatula just because we want to catch any parts that are sticking. I don't know why, but it seems like on this side they stick more, but on this one it's pretty good. So those are cooking away. I'm going to put this pork aside right now and then put this away. And you know what? I think this is about it, because I'm just going to be doing more of the same. So I'm just going to show you here what these look like, okay? So the cheese has melted with the pretzel. It has this nice crispy crust. The pork is marinated. It's got good seasoning. I think that this is so flavorful, you really don't need a sauce for it. Germans have very good sauces, so any sauces like Jaeger sauce or Ram sauce would be really good, but I don't think it needs it. Just a little lemon to freshen it up and cut the richness, a little bit of Schnitzel, and I think this would be quite a delicious dish. Now, I'm making this in the summer. This is not a summer meal, okay? This is a nice late fall, cozy, by the fire. Even though I had it in the summer in Germany, it really is a rich dish. So this is definitely something that you would want to enjoy in the warm or the cooler months when you want to get cozy. All right? So I hope you try it and I hope you enjoy. And I will see you again. Goodbye, Kitchen Kings and Queens.